Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Welcome to GuidanceCast. My name is Sham Saeed, and we have a very interesting topic today. And before we dive into our topic, I have Brother Basaharat with me today.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Basaharat Anwar. I've been on a few podcasts before. It's lovely to be back and invited for this one.
And then we have our special guest, Shaykh Waseem Ahmed.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Yeah, welcome to another episode of GuidanceCast. It's a pleasure to be here with Shams, our first time. So make dua for him. He's a regular and he contributes. And of course, Basaharat, you've been here quite a few times. We've talked about a lot of different things. So I hope that we have a productive conversation today. And please do. And I really, on this topic, Shams will talk about the topic in a second, but I personally feel we need your contribution today. We need the public, our viewers, everyone to send in questions, send in their contributions. I'd even ask our admin to keep aware of the comments because they could go in a particular direction. People are sensitive to certain things. So it's one of those topics that we need to discuss. Bismillah, Shams.
No, yes, Ustad, you were right. This is a very important topic, and we all need to particularly Muslims, need to get into it, understand this topic very much in detail. So our topic is today Muslims and misunderstanding. Let's dive into first topic within Muslim and misunderstood is identity and belonging. So, Sheikh, for the viewers, I would like to understand, what does it mean to belong as a Muslim in Britain today?
So, alhamdulillah, our viewers are from around the world, but we are predominantly in here, British Muslims, right? Mm-hmm. And we take pride and happiness and honor in both those words, right? We are British, we live in this country, we're born here, most of us, we've grew up here, our education, our lives, everything we know is here, we feel at home. Mm-hmm. At the same time, our religious identity is Islam, is being a Muslim. And I think both go hand in hand. I think both complement each other. We are a pluralistic society. There's so much diversity. We've all worked with different people in different fields and different, services. I think all of us kind of are in that sort of realm of, serving others and helping others. And we interact with a lot of different people, and our Islam and our Britishness goes hand in hand, in my opinion. What do you think, Basaharat?
Absolutely. I was going to ask you a question around, can we be fully British and fully Muslim at the same time? And are the two sort of synonymous with each other, or are they two separate identities?
I think that, the debate then opens what is Britishness, right? And people will want to obviously have their own opinions and stuff, right? We're not identified or defined, let's say, by passports or where we are, necessarily born or live. We're identified by our character, our kindness, our interaction, our being human at the end of the day. We all, wherever you're from in the world, what matters in reality is how you treat your fellow human being, how you interact with others, how you respect one another. So I think British values all go back to that. Yes, we're talking about being kind and generous and looking after the others, etc. I think yes, it does for me. I don't see a contradiction or anything to maneuver. I just think that there are other people, including in the Muslim community, that may not want to do certain things, may not behave in certain ways, which I think go against the grain. To be honest, I don't think that's the Britishness or the norm. I think that's the problem, right? And we need to just put that to one side and say, look, this is all good. We can all align with this. That's who we are. That's who this society is, which is different to other places in the world, yeah.
And part of our Muslim identity is treating people with respect and care and kindness, isn't it?
Yep.
That's the whole essence of being a Muslim, because we know that the Prophet ﷺ said that the best of you, those best in character, and people are safe from your hand and your tongue. So he didn't just talk about other Muslims. It's Muslims being kind to humanity, to humans.
Yeah, you reminded me of a hadith I read, and I remember the commentary on the hadith as well. So there's two narrations where the Prophet ﷺ said, the Muslim is the one who other Muslims are safe from his hand and tongue. And then there's one that says, a Muslim is the one who people
The
humans
humanity.
and nas, humanity are safe from his hands and tongue. And in the commentary, it mentioned there that people often quote the one where it says Muslims,
Yeah.
and they forget the one where it says people are safe from your hand and tongue. Meaning we don't harm people as Muslims. That's the idea. You know, that's the Muslim. Al-Muslimu, the Muslim is the one that people are safe from his hand and don't harm people. I was talking about this the other day, that from the branches of faith for a Muslim is to remove harm from the path. That's something that if we have to move harm from the path, then how could we even think of putting harm on the path or doing something, you know, negative? And I know, Shams, you work a lot in this area of removing harm. And, you know, in your interaction with your community, with others, I know you work with a lot of different people from different backgrounds. You have these conversations. How has your conversations in those particular, you know, spheres been about Britishness and British values?
Yes, so I do work with different background of people, and it's like, again, it's the building the bridge between the community. I feel, my personal feeling is there's a bit of a gap between the communities. So people don't understand that Muslim is all about humanity, serving the nation, serving the humanity, and removing the path and make it easy for the humanity. And that's why when I work with people, they don't know what the Islamic value is, what Islam actually mean, how the Islam is there, the Muslims are there to protect them, to help the humanity, and to help the human to unite. And what I've noticed is that people, most of them, they don't hate Islam. They don't know about it much.
Yeah, and I think when you have a lack of knowledge of something or awareness, not your own shortcoming, it's just how life is, and maybe we haven't done enough to have those conversations, you know. And I think you've mentioned that to me, that we need to do more. Then it leaves a gap, and then from that gap, what comes? Speculation and just and a fear of the unknown, right? And what is it, and what, you know? And of course, there's a lot of propaganda against Muslims, right, Basaharat? I'm sure, you know, you could talk a bit about that. And it does leave a negative image generally if you were to trust, let's say, the media or just follow the media, which a lot of people do. People today it's hard sometimes with AI and all this now, especially, but even over the last 20, 30 years, there's so much you know, domination of a certain agenda on the news that just portrays a negative image. And then, alhamdulillah, I know many people don't follow that, many people see through that, but it is a challenge for us. And what do you think, Basaharat, that we're almost fighting a battle against negativity?
It just feels like a constant battle, doesn't it? At the moment, especially with everything that's going on around the world. Social media has a lot to answer for. Media has a lot to answer for, generally. But I think the best thing that we can do as Muslims is not necessarily just talk about things. It's showing people through action. You know, the way you interact with people at work, for example, on a daily basis, you probably spend most of your day with other people, non-Muslims. The vast majority of people we work with are non-Muslims. So they are watching you carefully. They're watching how you act, how you interact with other people. And if we, do everything that we are taught through our faith, then other people will see that. And, you're kind to people, you're smiling at people constantly. You're not harsh with people, you're not, shouting, you're not swearing. These are all things that people actually pick up. They might not say anything, but they're watching us closely. It feels like people are watching Muslims closer than ever now. We're under the spotlight. We're under scrutiny now because of all the negativity in the media.
You know what you said about being getting more involved and, like you said, we're all interacting. We were just talking before, Shams, you mentioned some statistics which I want you to share about, yesterday, based off the timing of this podcast, whenever you're watching, it was in November, but it was Remembrance Day.
Yes.
And, you were mentioning how many hundreds of thousands of Muslims and,
Absolutely. During the First World War time, about 400,000 Muslims contributed. It's more or less 1/3 of the people were Muslims.
Wow.
Contributed British Indian Army. They were joining British Indian Army and they served in the army.
Wow.
And then obviously during the Second World War time, the number grows to 1 million.
To 1 million in the Second World War.
Exactly. So Muslim has always had and always be having good contribution to the society.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah. But on that very point, I had a message yesterday, this morning, I think, about Sunday, and somebody who attended a remembrance, laying of the wreath and kind of paying respects, who's a Muslim, whose father was in that World War II that you talked about. And it was a disappointing message. He was like, only 4 or 5 people here from the Muslim background. And, my father was there, their fathers and grandfathers were there. And, it's part of and this is what we need to be doing. We need to be there to show the community that we are a part of this community. We help build this society, we contribute to the society. Exactly. But like you're saying, Bashar, if we don't get involved and don't do anything, we just kind of become passive. It's not an option anymore, really, is it?
One of the things I think we're probably taught from childhood or not taught. For example, have a look at the poppy.
Yeah. I don't know.
How many Muslims, Muslims do you see wearing poppies? Just as a question.
Yeah.
How many Muslims do you see wearing poppies?
Wasn't there some controversy over the poppy, or somebody burnt the poppy or something?
Yeah, there was.
There was.
Yeah. And if we're going to integrate, we want to show that we're standing up for our parents, grandparents who might have fought in the war, our memories. Then we need to be involved in these kind of things.
Yep. And that was the point. The brother that he's involved in, a few people, and it doesn't reflect truly or to the amount that's needed of our Muslims, if you want to go particularly the subcontinent sort of contribution, because that is part of this country. You were talking earlier about some of the other things as well,
and that kind of goes back to like knowing our history, how our forefather and what they did, what they used to do, how they serve the community, how they got involved with the community to grow, help develop the community, develop the country, the society. I think that's something I feel personally that we are kind of distant from.
We are distant from it. We don't understand how we got here, right?
Exactly.
And I think it's been more in the media now. People talking about it because of the sort of current climate. But, I've heard recently, and I've read a little bit about it as well, that post World War II, there was a huge shortage of labor work here.
Right, yes.
And that's really the biggest reason why a lot of the people here are here from the immigration in terms of...
A lot of people don't know that our parents and grandparents were actually invited. They were asked,
They were asked
to come here.
Yeah.
Mills, I'm from Sheffield, steel factories. I know many of my friends, their fathers and grandfathers worked hours upon hours from various Yemeni community, Pakistani community, Bengali community in Sheffield. They worked so hard, hours upon hours. One of my friends told me that they were worried where their dad was because he was working so much, and the communication wasn't.
I remember my dad working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Subhanallah. Hard labor as well, right?
No day off. 7 days a week, 12 hours in a cotton factory. I'm from Oldham. Oldham, I think it produced more cotton than the rest of the world put together or something like that.
At a certain stage,
at one point.
We were from Sheffield, so the steel blades.
That's right. We probably used Sheffield. They probably used Sheffield steel to cut the cotton with.
That's it, and cutlery and stuff. There's so much. I mean, the industry has died down, but at that time where we needed to rebuild, and
this country could not have done. This country could not have survived. Without imported labor.
That helped so much industrial revolution, economy and so on. It was massive,
And you look at
that's what led. I mean, to be honest, they struggled at that time, but that's what led to the families coming over. Right. And then obviously when you're here and your kids are here, you want to have good education for them, and you want them to have, opportunities. And we are that really. We should be thanking so much both the opportunity that was given to our parents and grandparents, but also their efforts. And the fact that we're here and we now look at we've been working in.
And there's a misconception I think that people came over just for an easy life. And actually that's not true.
No.
Part of it was to give their children a better life, but certainly wasn't easy.
No.
When they first came over, and it was very, very hard because they endured a lot of racism.
Yeah, that's the big challenge they had.
A lot of racism. They had no money. The conditions they lived in, hard labor. I remember my father, Allah bless his soul. He when he first came over, he worked out on the roads, so he was a road maker. And I remember the story he used to tell me about working in the middle of winter in snow on the motorway, building roads, where it's the point where his ears used to bleed with the cold. That's 12 hours building roads, and for not a lot of money. But just so that we could have a better life, there's a lot of contribution that people have given that's not that people don't know about.
People don't know about,
yeah. And I think that this sort of generational change also kind of does, not trying to criticize anyone, but I think it does the generation, I mean, like we now live off their hard work, right?
Yes,
So we are a bit more laid
Relax.
back. We're a bit more, we've got it easy. So what happens is we become complacent, right? And some of us do, start doing things that aren't even good. That's human nature, I suppose, but it's wrong. And we have to also say that
Yes,
if we're not
yeah.
contributing to society, if we're, like I said earlier, we should be removing the harm. If we're putting the harm in,
Yeah.
that for a Muslim, that's wrong. As Islam, as Muslims, we can't condone that. We have to speak up against that with wisdom, with, the right time and place. But it's something we need to mention clearly for our viewers and listeners, that when those things happen, whatever form of negativity, harm is, in society, it's because the younger generation, whoever it is, has lost their path.
Yeah.
I think that's what's happened in a lot of this sort of time. I suppose it goes back on the community, like investment in not just rituals, but social issues, education, employment, in terms of skills. It's much better now, of course, but there are been periods and demographics where that's been a big problem and still is, and not just Muslim community, I think the wider community as well. Yeah.
Absolutely, Ustad. The wider community and Muslim community. It's like the question is how do you bridge that gap, or how do you help our next generation? Because obviously our generation pretty much, we are getting old and our time is going to come soon, but we have to build the path for our next generation.
Yeah.
And I think that's the crucial moment. How we act right now, it kind of determines the path, how they're going to get.
I always go back to the famous saying of, I might quote it wrong, and I usually do, but of Malcolm X, rahimahullah ta'ala, the future is for those who prepare for it today,
Exactly.
And that's what we've got to do. And Islam is a religion, and Muslims are always thinking about the next generation, about passing on their faith, passing on their teachings and morals and values. So something that's very intrinsic within the Muslim community, I'd say the practicing Muslim community, those that engage in Islam. And the key is education.
Yeah.
The key is learning the deen, is learning about, like I said, skills, jobs, even if it's maths, English, science, degrees, right? Education is the passport to the future, as they say, right? Education is what changed Malcolm X, when he went through all his like episodes in life and stuff. It's when he studied and read in prison, and I'm sure you've seen the movie and read the book. I've read both the book and seen the movie, and it's inspiring, right? That education was what empowered him. He became such a powerhouse, right? Such an amazing person, articulate, thoughtful, critical, understanding. The words he said were so full of power and meaning. It wasn't just empty words or just, emotional. That's what we need to do. He's the inspiration for, I think, many people in the world today, right? Muslims and non-Muslims. We highly respect him and love him. But I think that's what we need to do. We need to have this sort of education, provide opportunities, and not wait for things to happen. We need to be on the front foot, take action, provide spaces. It's really important we engage right now. Otherwise, we are leaving, the future generations are in a disadvantage.
So where would you say Muslims or you yourself feel most at home then? Would you say, do you feel most at home when you go back to Pakistan? Do you feel most at home in Sheffield, in Manchester?
I'll be honest with you. Honestly, Damascus. I lived in Damascus for 7 years, and I fell in love with Damascus. But if you were like, where are my childhood memories? Where do I want to be? Like Sheffield, because I grew up there. So that's second on the list. But yeah, I mean, I feel at home in Manchester because I'm here now, and I've lived here for 10 years, and I don't feel like I'm like not at home. I feel very much at home. And yeah, it comes bottom of the list, but I love it as well. It's not like, oh, I don't like Pakistan and so on, right? I love going there and stuff. But yeah, I think that my identity is British, right? It's Pakistani in the sense I'm just ethnically Pakistani, but my language, my, diet and stuff like that. I mean, I have roti salad, but I don't mind some fish and chips and shepherd's pie, and all of that, right? Probably prefer it, in all honesty. Some people don't. Some people prefer the roti salad. It's diet at the end of the day. But yeah, I do feel at home here, and I can't see my life anywhere else apart from Damascus.
You can put a bit of salad on your fish and chips, on your fish and chips, and you can integrate that way.
Could you see it on the fish and chips?
Absolutely.
I've never actually done that. That might be a cardinal sin.
Try it. It's good.
So you want to say put the andi on the
You put
chips?
dal.
Yeah.
Put dal on your chips.
That sounds wrong.
It's not. Believe me, it works.
Yeah.
Try it.
Okay. I've never thought of that in my whole life.
Try
but
it. Instead of curry,
yeah.
try dal.
What about keema?
Yeah. So get the chips, fish and chips, and they put dal on top,
Dal.
lentils.
You know the yellow one.
Yeah, lentils. Yeah, masala dal.
So
Yeah.
it takes the place of the curry.
Ah,
It's actually very nice.
Yeah. Okay.
So just give it a go. See what you think. No,
Guys, recommendation.
don't
from
knock it until
Bashar.
you've tried it.
Don't knock it till you've tried it. I'll go to try it now.
Absolutely.
I will try
But,
that one day.
but talking about Pakistan, I was born in Pakistan.
Ah, mashallah.
Believe it or not. And I came over when I was 6 months old. So essentially,
you grew up here.
I grew up here.
You don't. You got any memories of
Education,
Pakistan?
schooling,
Yeah.
everything. I went back last year after 22 years
Wow.
to visit. And going back to the village where I came from, there was an instant connection.
Yeah, you felt it.
I felt a connection.
Yeah.
Because my parents lived there, my grandparents lived there. I saw the houses. I actually went into the room where our house is a bit dilapidated now because all of my family are here now.
Right.
And actually, but it's still there, the structure. And I went into the room, and my sister said, "Actually, you were born in that corner." And she pointed to the corner of the room where I was born. And can you imagine that? It was amazing. But actually, when people ask me, same as you, ethnically, yeah, I'm from Pakistan. I was born there. But actually, what ethnicity are you? British Pakistani, Asian Pakistani. Yeah. That's how I identify myself. So my nationality is British.
Yeah.
Right.
But ethnically, I'm Pakistani. So you can have. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, there's so many others.
exclusive.
There's Bangladeshis, there's Somalians, there's British, Polish people, and so on. It's. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having people. Some people are mixed race, right? And so there's nothing wrong with having different ethnicities. But of course, who are you? Where you belong is where you choose to belong, I suppose, right? It's a choice in life, right?
Yes.
People are born here, but they move out and they travel and they identify as they might become Spanish or they might become New Zealanders or whatever, right? It's a choice at the end of the day. And if you're welcomed into that space, right? And there's a question we've got. I think we might be worth asking.
I got a question.
You got a question. Okay, we'll go to yours first.
That one is that. Like he said, you feel home Damascus, yeah?
Yeah.
And Brother Bashar says that he felt connected in
Pakistan.
My
Well, we did
question
Damascus,
would be-
just to say, I lived only there for 7 years, but because I loved Damascus and, it's something dear to my heart, that's why I say that. But yeah, I would try to live there for my family. I think, they're settled here and this is best for them.
So do you ever feel you are a guest in this country? Because
No, I can't say that. I don't feel like I'm a guest because I think if you say you're a guest, then you kind of almost like splitting things up like us and them almost, right? It feels like, we're a guest there. No, I think initially anybody who comes over is a guest. Yes, you're invited over, you're a guest. Then when you're given citizenship and you stay here, you're part of the society, you're born here, all your life is here from day one till now. People have only known Manchester or England or whatever, right? So they're not guests here. No, we are fully a part of the society equally as anybody else. And we should never, that's very dangerous, I think. That if we start saying we're a guest or we this, we that, we outsiders, we'll be almost creating barriers that shouldn't be there in the first place. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so the question here was, and I think it could be asked to me because it says Islamic ruling, but I want your guys' input. It says, what's the Islamic viewpoint on illegal immigration? So we're talking about obviously normal migration, legally, properly, whatever. What about illegal? This big topic, right?
sorry, I'll let Brother Bashar do
Illegal. Okay, so people ask you, what do you think about illegal immigration? And I always say, it's my personal view.
Yeah,
my
personal view. Go for it, yeah, go
okay,
for
my
it.
personal view is that I'm against anything that's illegal because we live in this country. We identify as British and identify as Muslims, which means that we obey the laws of the country that we live in.
Yeah.
So if someone comes into the country illegally, we should be against that because it's breaking the laws of the country. There's a difference between illegal and legal migration.
Yep.
Yeah.
And usually what happens is the two get conflated, they get
do,
mixed
yeah,
up.
and that's the problem.
And for example, the far right, they'll pick up and they'll talk about illegal immigration, but then you say, well, why are you against the legal migrants then as well?
Exactly, yeah. And that's
So-
what they are. They're against both, really.
They're against both. But illegal immigration itself, I would say that we don't agree with. I personally
Yeah.
don't agree with
Yeah,
because
yeah.
again, we're law-abiding, aren't we, as Muslims?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that Islamically as well, you know, this is something important for our viewers to understand, Muslim and non-Muslim, that Islam teaches Muslims that wherever you are, whatever society you live in, you must follow and obey the laws and keep decorum, look after everybody, not harm anybody, keep people safe. You want that for yourself, you want it for your children, you want it for your society. It's equal. Like it's not like, oh, we just want to be safe in our spaces. Who cares about anybody else? That's not Islam. That's not a Muslim, right? So when it comes to illegal immigration or immigration in the wrong way, yeah, that's breaking the law. It's wrong. Okay, you know, there's a due process, just like any crime, any, you know, illegal thing that's committed. So we want that person, those people, to go through the legal system that the UK law has provided for illegal immigrants and let them go through that. If that results in them getting deported, absolutely fair. You know, we haven't got anything against that, as I haven't. I believe that's what should happen. And if the legal system says they can stay, even if I don't want them to stay, and I might not personally, like you said, I might want them to stay personally. It just depends on who it is, to be honest. But that's not what matters. What matters is the law is taking place and due process is done. And we have to believe in that and follow that. Islam doesn't say, oh, you should just let everybody in and no. Yes, there's circumstances that the law will look at and decide, and that's what we want as well.
And of course, absolutely. And of course, the issue comes where any problems that happen in the country are blamed on illegal immigrants.
Yeah, unfairly,
Unfairly.
Yeah.
So I agree. I totally agree with you what you say there about going through a due process. But then again, where is the evidence and where is the information that says that illegal immigrants or immigrants, just immigrants, are responsible for all the issues in this country?
Right. On that one, one thing I want to add, when we talk about illegal immigrants, one thing I think we need to understand what actually illegal immigrants mean, why they are illegal, why they are coming in an illegal way. Is there a process for them to come in legal way and they're not following it, or there's no process? That's one thing I think we need to dig into.
That's true. Yeah, so they're either missing the legal process that's available to them, or there is no process for them, and they decide to come illegally.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So I think that's one thing I think we need to establish first, and why? I've seen no one would love to leave their country, their home, children taking the risk coming to this country.
Yeah.
So that is why they are living there.
Yeah, that's another reason for them coming over. Yeah, so a majority of illegal immigrants will come over not wanting to do so. You're 100%. Who wants to leave their family behind, risk their lives over the oceans and seas to get to England, right?
As a law-abiding citizen side, yes, we shouldn't be supporting anything illegal. But same time, we have to see the scenario why they are taking the illegal route if there's a legal route. If there's no legal route, what should they do then?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one thing we have to establish before we jump to any particular conclusion.
Yeah. We have to think about it. We can't be so insular and, one narrow-minded that we forget that there is reasons people do this, right? There's reasons people do whatever they do in life.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's beyond their control, or it's a big risk they take, or it's desperation or whatever. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
The other point is in terms of the blaming the migrants or immigrants. I think it's more to do with the inequality that our society is facing. The people are suffering, going through so many challenges, hardship, cost of living crisis record high, NHS public services are falling. People are waiting for months and months to get an appointment. And it's kind of understand that they are kind of emotional. People are emotional and they're looking for a solution. And what
they're looking for someone to blame.
Well, they might not looking for someone to blame.
But they might looking for the problem to go away.
Yeah, they want the problem to go away. But then media and the far right, they are feeding it that your problem, if we get rid of these immigrants, your problem will be solved.
Which is completely false.
Exactly.
Yeah, we all know that.
We have seen the Brexit issue. If we get rid of the Brexit, we can save our NHS.
Yes, and what happened? It went worse.
Exactly.
Nothing happened.
So I think again, this is probably happening because there's a gap between community cohesion.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the media, what you said there, we should maybe talk a little bit about that. That is very powerful today. Media is in people's hands. It's in devices. It's everywhere, and it influences people a lot. If you constantly see an image or a message or a particular propaganda, let's call it even, right?
Yeah.
constantly thrown at you, you're going to start believing it. It's going to start following that narrative, right? And like you said, there's a media narrative from certain areas. Look who owns the media channels, who owns, they're privately owned, right? Most of them are privately owned and privately funded. And that's going to influence their output and what they're talking about and what they're talking against or for. And that does fuel the problems in society and puts the wrong ideas in people's minds, unfortunately. So I think, like you said, there's, we can complain about it, but I think you're spot on when you said we need to be more involved, right? We need to bridge the gap and we need to educate. We need to talk about these things. What is the actual issue, right? The actual issue is, and you mentioned it already, people are struggling.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And I'm struggling. You know, people are struggling. We think twice about buying things and spending and like, will I have enough? And so on. Not everybody is. Allah's blessed some people, mashallah. But a lot of us are. Normal people are. You know, the working class are. And when we're thinking like that and we see all these other things, we're looking for a solution or what's the way to move forward. It wasn't as bad as it's getting worse now. And we see what's coming back is sort of it is a blame, but like not maybe from everybody, but it's trying to find a scapegoat. It's trying to find a reason that we think will improve our lives, our community, our society. But is it immigration? Is it the migrants themselves? And I honestly cannot say something more emphatically that it's not. They are contributing to society just as much as anybody else, if not more, right? Look at the billions that are, you know, put into the system by Mike, billions, you know.
One of the example, like, you know, the Bangladeshi community.
The Bangladeshi community,
annually they contribute 4.5 billions to the economy.
4.5 billion from the Bangladeshi community. Wow, subhanallah. Yeah, one community.
Now, if we add all the community together, think about it. We have a greater contribution to
it's huge contribution. Right?
Massive contribution to charities.
Charities,
huge
help.
Billions contribute to charity.
Food banks.
Food banks. In all the, you know, how many mosques run food banks?
Yeah, plenty now. It's becoming more common. Alhamdulillah, we need this. This is probably part of the solution. As Muslims, we need to do more food banks and more opportunities.
Absolutely.
And there was that incident recently of, I don't know if you've seen it yet, some lady phoned churches and asked for help for her child, like she needs baby formula. And I think one church was a positive response and many didn't. And the first mosque she phoned, they said, yeah, you know, where are you? We can help you and so on. And they're willing to help without any questions asked, right? So that's what we need more of. And we need to contribute and give back. And to be honest, we are. I'm just saying we need more of it.
Well, charity is a big part of our faith.
Again, that is a faith-based element. Yeah,
it is a faith-based element because that's intrinsic in us that as Muslims, we have to be generous. We have to help. And it goes back again to that helping humanity.
It's humanity. And by the way, the hadith says those who help the most beloved to God, we believe this is in our tradition, are the ones who help the creation of Allah, the creation of God. Not Muslims, just... We, of course, we do and we love them, but we have to be kind to all of humanity, look after everybody. If we see, even an animal, you know, in our tradition, it says, if you see a thirsty dog, give him or her water, you know. If you see an animal being harmed, stop the harm. You know, it's like some animals are caged up and stuff like this. That's not allowed. There's actual traditions and teachings specifically talk about these things.
I totally agree. And I think as Muslims living in a multicultural society, even simple things that we can take on. For example, you might live in a street where your neighbors are non-Muslim. How often do we knock on the door, check on them, or, you know, during Ramadan, do we just take plates of food to the other Muslims, or do we share them out amongst the neighbors who are non-Muslim as well?
Very good point. Very good.
You know, how many?
And the hadith says, "Go and give your neighbor." It doesn't say Muslim neighbor.
No, absolutely.
You know, and that's what he actually.
We need to be doing more of this. We need to be doing more of this. You know, your neighbours' bins, how often do you bring them in?
All the time. Me and my neighbour have a thing, whoever wins, wins. We do it, we do compete. So, we put him out next year, look, is it in here? Is it not? Let me go put it in. If not, oh, it's already in, he's beat me today. And he's non-Muslim neighbour, right? So we put each other's bins.
Well, why don't you have a slogan, something like moving the bins wins? Something like that.
And, you know, in our community group, we have a gentleman, he always shares the colour, you know, obviously what colours, right? He goes, this week, guys, it's blue. I'll be like, thank you. And what I mention his name.
This is really important. You might think it's a really small act, but I'll tell you what, this is what I'm saying about people are watching you. These small acts make such a big difference.
But can I ask you guys a question? Sorry, Shams, can I ask you a question? Why is it that the focus goes on the negative stuff, right? Why is it that we have, you're talking about Muslims and all these great things, but they're not doing these great things, they're doing bad things. Why is it that we have that? Why is it that they get the attention? And is that just the Muslims? Like, what's going on?
Makes a good story, Sheikh. The negativity and bad things make a more interesting reading than doing good. The vast majority of Muslims in this country don't want to do anything bad.
Let me just change that, because at this point I'm trying to make vast majority of people not doing anything bad. They're all doing good, They're all doing
Absolutely.
And minority, Muslim, non-Muslim, black, white, Asian, whatever, they are doing bad. Minorities.
Yes.
It's not a religious thing, because the religion of Judaism, Christianity, Islam doesn't teach them to do any of these things.
No.
It's not the color of skin that's teaching them to do this. It's not where they're from or they've grown up. It's just their society. I mean, is that British now? Because everybody in society does it.
Yeah, but they've not been taught by their faith to do
exactly.
bad.
Or anybody. It's just been the certain, I would say, evil forces, evil people, bad people.
Factors.
Yeah. I mean, it could be desperation that leads them to that as well. But it's wrong. It's wrong. It's not to do with the religion or ethnicity or home. I mean, you may have some homes that teach their children bad, let's say, right? But majority of parents don't want that for their children. Even if they're bad themselves, would not want their children to be bad, right? So what I'm trying to say is that, there is problems in society. There are people of crime, and they find that an easy way to make money or to have influence or whatever. And, we need to support the police, I suppose, to help reduce that, not criticize them and, complain and this, that, the other, right? Because we all have to work together. If we work together, we're going to become stronger. And this idea of, putting each other against each other and kind of, facing off, whatever you want to call it, like we said earlier, where do you feel this, that, that's the problem.
That's an agenda.
Yeah, exactly. The more we fall into that trap and follow that narrative, the more it's going to cause problems and
division.
Division. Yeah. The more we sit together, like you said, more we spend time with each other, talk, the more we realize, look, these are our issues in society. It doesn't matter what color of skin it is or what, ethnicity is or whatever, what passport you hold even. If you're here legally with another passport even, you've got a passport from somewhere in Europe or somewhere in Asia or Africa, fantastic. But you're here legally, you're a worker, whatever. We've got to work together in society. We've got to follow the laws. We've got to do everything. Nobody's to blame for what's going on, apart from the people that are doing the wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which probably politicians and, others.
Well, that's one thing. But other thing is also, Shaykh, it's quite important because it's the era of social media. And
it is social media.
To look cool, get more views. And that kind of leading to not knowing what's right, what's wrong. And trying to do, get more fame, get more hearts in the thing, get more subscriber or more view in the social media post. And that kind of leading to ignorance and everything. And I think the thing we should do more is to educate our society, educate our practice in our home first. Start with our home. Like what we do that our kids learn from it. If we're not holding our values, if we're not reminding ourselves that we are the custodian of this planet or this earth, so we have a responsibility towards every single living things on this earth. If we go out, if we, for example, clean our corridor and leave the rubbish on the road, our kids will learn from it. Well, we need to show that we go extra mile to help the society.
So, Sheikh, just another question. If we start discussing, we talked about migration, haven't we?
Yeah, we did, a bit.
So, again, migration is an integral part of our faith. And remember the title, going back to the title, is Muslims are Misunderstood. So, I'm focusing on Muslims.
Yeah.
So, as part of our faith then, hijrah, migration.
Yeah, it is part of our faith, it is, you're right.
Yeah. Can you explain a bit about how migration is an intrinsic part of our faith?
So, many people don't know this, even Muslims. The Prophet ﷺ didn't make the first migration. Not many Muslims know this. The first migration was made by Muslims in the time of the Prophet ﷺ from Mecca to a place called Abyssinia. And the Prophet sent them.
Who's Ethiopia now?
Eritrea, Ethiopia, so that part of Africa, sort of on the eastern side. That was the first migration. And why did they migrate, you might ask, right? If it's part of our faith, because they were being persecuted in Mecca, because they had no freedom, they were being literally killed or tortured and punished and, rejected from society, boycotted kind of thing. So about, I think, 80 or so Muslims there was two migrations I've seen. So I think it was slightly less than the first one and the second batch of Muslims. And so there's two migrations from Mecca to Abyssinia of two groups of Muslims. They fled for their sake of freedom, of saving their lives, of just being able to live. And guess what happened in Abyssinia? They met a welcoming society,
Christian
society. Yes, Christians. Yeah, Abyssinian Christians. They were Christian, right? And the Prophet told them, go there because they're good people. He said, go because they look after you. He probably already told them, don't worry, that's better for you than here. And so when they went there, the Quraysh did come after them by this. So some of the Quraysh came. They said, give us our family back. Our family, they're from our tribe. They've run away. They're trying to, leave us. They made the stories up, obviously. And then look how fair the king was, Ashama. He said, let them speak. So they spoke and they said, no, they have tortured us, harmed us. We believe in Islam, we're Muslims, we believe in one God. And our Prophet has told us to come here to practice our faith, to get away from the harms. We just wanted some safety, security. So he said, you have it. Don't worry about it. And what they say, because the Meccans were polytheists and that was their religion or whatever, right? So they weren't happy with Muslims who were monotheists and believed in one God, to leave them, because they felt that if they start going away, we're going to lose control of them. And so it was quite a strategical thing. So the Muslims then established themselves in Abyssinia for several years. They didn't live there forever. They came back. So they moved to Medina afterwards. So the Prophet himself made a migration. That was the question, right? The migration from the Prophet, who again couldn't live in Mecca anymore. Too much persecution, too difficult. He moved to Medina. And then later on, those Muslims, several years later, so they spent maybe a good 10, 12 years in Abyssinia before they moved from Mecca to Abyssinia. I mean, that's tough, isn't it? We talk about refugees today, right? I'm talking about earlier about the reasons for going. We don't know the reasons, right? So they went and they were accepted. They could have been turned back by the Abyssinians. They could have said, well, this is our country, sorry, off you go. And that would have put them in a big trouble, right? Here you're stuck in the middle of nowhere. The Quraysh have come to take you literally, and who knows, kill you, execute you, whatever. And you haven't got nowhere to go. It's women and children and men. It's not just men, right? But they were accepted and they were looked after and they were allowed to go. So this is really important that for us, we understand that people have to flee from conflict, from difficulties. They have to go somewhere.
And likewise, then, after the Hijrah, when Prophet ﷺ and his companions and people, he established a government in Medina, the people there who were not Muslim, can you tell us a bit about them, how they lived and how they interacted with the Muslims there?
Yeah, it's a very good point. I think, again, this idea of Muslims misunderstood and integration and living with others, right? Alhamdulillah, from the very beginning of Islam, Muslims have always lived with other people, like non-Muslims, right? And in Medina, there was a large Jewish community. There was some other people as well, Christians and so on, minorities, but the major community was the Jewish community. And when the Prophet ﷺ came over, they made a treaty. They made an agreement, a covenant. So we're going to work together. We're going to support each other. We're not going to harm each other. We're going to protect Medina. If somebody comes and attacks us, we'll have freedom of our religions. You can practice your religion. We practice our religion. So it was a very beautiful covenant. I think it's worthy of us to go through that at some point and read through that and study that. It's part of our tradition, the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, the biography of the Prophet ﷺ, and the Muslims' kind of history itself. It's really important. Yes, Shams.
Yeah. So, Ustad, on that point, could you explain a bit more about how Rasulullah they get rid of the racism? What action did he take to did build the community cohesion?
Yeah, very important. Yeah, no, it's really important because obviously the majority are. So first of all, people think that the Meccans, because the Prophet came from Mecca, right?
Yeah.
And the Medinans were there, are the same. The Arabs, right? We just think they're the same, but it's not. Like you go now to Jordan, Syria, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, UAE. They're different, and they don't identify with each other the same. They're obviously closer related in ethnicity, whatever, but they have different way of speaking, different traditions, different cultures, different foods, even from region to region. Some is overlapped, but it's quite different. Like if you go to the Mediterranean and like Lebanon, Syria, it's quite a lot different. If you go the other side to the Khalij, the Gulf, and like Bahrain and Qatar and those countries. So these two people were different. Meccans and Medinas were different. Yeah. So they had a challenge in settling with each other as well, right? Yeah. So that was one issue. Then there was some other people. So there was a lot of freed slaves, and they were from Abyssinia. So they were, black slaves, you call them that. And there was some people from the Byzantine Empire, in particular, Sayyidina Suhaib Rumi being here the Byzantine. And Sayyidina Salman al-Farisi, he'd come over from the Persian Empire, Faris. Yeah. So there was a mixture of people within the Muslim community, and there was, other traditions. And there was signs of, let's say, racism. Yeah. There was prejudices going on, but the Prophet didn't accept this. He didn't allow this, and he kept on working against this completely. The Quran came in Revelation to say that the best of you are the most God-fearing. You're different tribes and nations so that you can celebrate, you can know each other, لِتَعَارَفُوا, to know each other. And even when the Prophet left this world, one of his final messengers, it's important to remember this, was no Arab is better than non-Arab, no non-Arab is better than Arab, no black is better than a white, no white is better than black. It's not about supremacy of one race, one color, one tradition. It's about illa bit-taqwa. The Prophet said, except by piety. That's, you're a better person, like we said earlier, about how good you are to others, how kind you are, how modest you are, how, forbearing you are, and so on, charitable. So that's what the Prophet wanted from us and everybody. And he eliminated or tried to eliminate. And the reason why he said it in the last sermon, and he mentioned looking after women and being kind to your spouses, because these are issues that he knew, and for us, we see in the world today that are big issues. His final speech, he's not going to talk about small things, right? He's going to talk about the big things that we need to be aware of. And it's a big thing. I'm glad you asked that question, Shams. It's a big thing. As Muslims, Islam, we need to eliminate all forms of racism. I, alhamdulillah, I had the opportunity to live in Damascus, Syria. But that was more opportunity to see the Muslim world. Because it wasn't just Syrians, it was people I had friends from Tunisia, from Turkey, from Indonesia, Malaysia, Pakistan, India. There was people from New Zealand there, there were some Yemeni brothers there. So people from like myself, they maybe Turkish, but they lived in Austria or Germany, and they'd come over Holland as well. Moroccans, they were there. Some brothers from Algeria were there, Tunisia. So for me, and Mali, we had brothers from Nigeria. One of my good friends is from Nigeria. So we had Comoros Islands. I could go on. There was like an international community, right? Probably more than what I can remember, in all honesty. And we sat with them. We ate bread together. We broke bread together. We had food together. We prayed together. We spent time together. We were brothers. Islam. That's what Islam brought to us, right? This brotherhood that looks beyond the color of the skin or the culture you're from. Is faith that unites us, right? And that's what we need to share and bring back, because that's who we are.
And that's what we do. And it shows when we go and pray in a Jama'at, we see no one is greater than each other. We are all equal. And it's like, like you say, it's by your piety, you are the greater.
Yeah, that's in the prayer. And in the Hajj as well, in the Umrah, when you go, you wear the white cloth, you're all equal.
Exactly. I was just going to ask you about Hajj, actually.
Are you going to? Yeah.
Yeah. It's the biggest migration.
It is, a yearly migration.
Yearly migration is the biggest migration on the planet.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
It is indeed.
And carried out by Muslims, millions of people.
Yeah, every
gathering in one place from all corners of the globe.
For a week or so, right?
Yeah. So literally, you could be stood next to a king,
Pope,
Pope, king,
some, Nobel Peace Prize
and you
winner.
would not know, and you would not know. You stood next to them in the same clothing.
Because think everybody who goes doesn't go to show that, do they?
No.
They all go to humble themselves before Allah and just be part of this whole, human process of surrendering and submitting.
So it's part of that migration, that pilgrimage, to humble us in saying that in the sight of God, that we are all the same, except in piety, like you spoke.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, one of the biggest lessons of Hajj, with the fatigue and the submission and the surrender and all of that, is the community. It's the biggest gathering, isn't it? Look, we come together for the Jamaat you mentioned. So that's the daily Jamaat. You might get 10, 20, 50, 100 people. Yeah. Weekly, we come together for Jummah. So you get a bigger crowd. Friday prayer. Look, Eid twice a year, you get a much bigger prayer, right?
Yes.
But you're only together for a short time as well. Hajj, you're together at the highest levels, millions, a couple of million, usually about 1 million to 2 million, right? And you're together for 5-6 days, constantly, just constantly brushing shoulders with new people after new people after new people, conversations, friendships, and from all sorts of different backgrounds, people, so on. It's an amazing experience. What it does, it teaches us we're all human, we're all one. Yeah. And we're all in that particular setting, we're all here to submit to God,
And even when the time comes to leave this world, what happens?
The same. The dress, the coffin.
The dress is the same.
White piece of cloth.
And
the grave is the same.
And the grave is the same. And you've got Jamaat.
Yeah, the same prayer. So the reality is you're going to get, hopefully you get more because you get more prayers and more du'as, but reality is the same, isn't it? I mean, your piety probably is what's going to factor into how much people pray for you afterwards, not your ethnicity, not whether you're king or not a king or whatever. How pious were you? How good were you? Oh, that's person. Even till today, we hear about people died 50 years ago, 40 years ago. His dad was a pious man. Dude, SubhanAllah, today, 40 years later, they're mentioning so-and-so's father. Or,
and I'm sure we all want, when it's time to leave this world, people to say, he or she was a good person.
Good person,
We don't
yeah.
want people talking about us in a negative manner.
100%,
We don't say,
yeah.
I'm glad he's gone.
Yeah. It's actually quite humbling that I've been to several funerals where you go and you may not have known that person so well, but you go and they start talking. You hear that, he was a great man. You think to yourself, subhanAllah, I feel an attachment to this individual. I feel I feel honored to have come to this person's janazah. I didn't know him very well, but look how people are talking about
And
him.
then
or
again,
her.
you
Yeah.
get people who have been there and they were like, well, he got up to all sorts. He got up to no good.
Yeah, we're not supposed to do that, by the way. If somebody dies,
We're not supposed to. I've heard people.
Yeah, you will hear people.
I personally would never
No,
talk
we're not.
about
Yeah,
someone
the
like
ruling
that.
is everyone. If somebody passes away who's not a good person and has harmed others,
You don't
and
want that.
It's wrong of us to say anything
Yes.
negative. Just leave it and just pray for him.
But-
Right? But you will get
My po-
people. Yeah, your point's
my
right. you
point
will.
is,
yeah,
that
your
don't-
point's right. You
when
will
you
get
go,
people.
you don't want people talking about you like that.
And you will if you. There's always some people. That's how life is, right? That will mention the negatives because they've experienced them. Probably they were the recipients of it firsthand, maybe, or their family was, right?
That's why it should always be good. So when people talk good about you,
Yeah.
Yeah, and that again leads to the humbleness, like you mentioned before. Like, if you don't want people to talk bad about you, if you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive you, you need to learn how to forgive, right? Because how could you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive you if you're not willing to forgive someone else? And that's, I think we need to remember that we are here. I think one thing we forget in this society, that we are here for temporary basis. We are too attached to this dunya. We started like how we can build our wealth or our status in the rank. And I think that's one of the things, like, come back to intention. Why?
and
We are
so
here.
so looking at the new generation of Muslims,
Yeah.
who are further and further away from the migrant generation, so to speak.
Yeah.
So our grandparents, parents, and then you've got our children now. Most of us are not migrants. A lot of us were born in this country. So how do we ensure and teach and make sure that our children, our grandchildren, take the lessons from the first generation of migrants that came here? What sort of lessons, and how do we teach them about the hard work that they put in, about things that they built here? What's the best way to teach our new generations? What
Do you have
the
a
story of
question,
migrants-
Shams? Or shall I answer this one first?
That one.
Okay. A very good question, first of all. And I think let's put it into a scenario basis. We are called names, go back home, this, that, the other. Youngsters aren't accustomed to that. I'm not accustomed to it, I'll be honest with you. I never really heard it in my life. But our parents were, and our grandparents even more so, right? For those who had grandparents here. And it was tough for them. But what was their response? Did they lash out? Did they get aggressive? Did they attack? Did they, do silly things? No. They were patient. They had sabr, right? And I think the younger generation need to learn that. I think it's common and easy to lash out, to respond, to get aggressive. But is that, first of all, a response we should have in who we represent as Muslims? No. And secondly, is it actually valid in society anyway? Like, we just, doing the same as the other side now, right? And, you're probably going to get in trouble by the police yourself if you lash out, and you're going to, the situation that would have been for you long term, and it's not nice to get abused and stuff, right? Is against you now, and the society, the media, what I mean there is will use it against you, like, oh, this happened, but yeah, I was the one wrong, I was the one attacked. Yeah, but look what you did. So I think the negative, two wrongs don't make right. Fire, and fire is just not good, right? No. So we need to be we need to speak to our youngsters and tell them that, look, people are going to say stuff. People are going to do things. And sometimes it's not even illegal. Sometimes it's a freedom of speech. You can say something, right? You can have your opinion on what's going on in the world today. And it might upset me that somebody's got that opinion of world politics or whatever. But he has a right to have that and vocalize it, right? And yes, I dislike that. I dislike such politician or, whatever person on media and these shows, whatever, right? But that's life. And we've got to learn to share that space amicably, talk it out. Okay, you go with your opinion, I'll go with mine. But that's how we're going to mend and build and,
and be respectful of each other's opinions.
Yeah. So it all comes down to education, and not just education. And we're talking about your maths, English, science, or Islamic education. We're talking about education of manners, education of how to speak to people, how to remain calm. Not just want to speak, but listen. and understand, because the other people have, maybe like you said earlier, I think you said Shams, like they don't want to blame anyone. They want to understand their problems and where they're coming from.
Absolutely.
And they are looking and trying to see where it's happening, and somehow wrongfully they are being directed to the wrong reasons, and the conversations that they need to have are not happening, so we need to provide them. Sit down and talk to us, talk to each other. We'll both, I'm pretty confident we'll come to the conclusion, we're in the same boat. Okay, you're not Muslim, you're Christian, I'm Muslim, you're white skinned, I'm brown skinned, but guess what, we're in the same boat.
We want the same
your
thing.
problems are my problems, and your shortcomings and your wants and my wants are very, very similar, and we all, the reasons and causes are affecting us equally.
Yes.
It's not like you're better off, we're better off, right? It's there may be some things that due to the wrong reasons some people are better off or not, but generally speaking the system is not working for a lot of people, including us. It's the same. So we need to have these conversations and get to that point, and then see, right, once we're on the same wavelength or we're getting somewhere close to that, we can move forward. But that's the challenge for our next generation, I think. Yeah, you're right. We need to educate them to have these conversations, provide these spaces, and move forwards with the community. Because as long as we keep seeing ourselves as the other or as different or this, that, it's not going to help us. We really need to come together, sit down, talk to each other. And I've had some conversations. I know some brothers in the community, they have these conversations. But it's not the majority. It's not too publicly done, unfortunately, right? But we need to do more.
So on this one, Ustad, I've got a couple of questions, but I'll ask this one first. On this one, then, how do we build, what should we do to facilitate this type of conversation that will help to bridge the gap between different communities, across the community?
There's different things we can do, but I think the easiest one is to get people who know each other together. So you will have non-Muslims that want to talk, friends and colleagues, and you got Muslims that want to talk. So you can organize something. We say, let's sit down. Let's have a conversation. Pick a topic, migration in the UK, big topic, right? Or cost of living crisis topic. Like, where is it coming from? What's going on? So let's talk to each other. Invite your local politicians, right? Invite some of your people in the civil services and ask them to get involved and come together. I think that's what we need to do. It needs to be on a communal level. National debate and all that is too big. If you just have it amongst yourselves, friends, communities, and we start with the those nucleuses that will develop, I think that's really important. I think the conversations are amongst ourselves within our community. When I say ourselves, I see the community as us, whatever race, color, religion they are, right? We need to be having conversations.
Right, cool. So that question I have at the moment is, could you please clarify what's the limit when it comes to following the society, such as an Islamic value?
Yeah, of course. I think this is what comes back to the topic as the podcast, Muslim Misunderstood, and also integration into the things that we experience in the UK or certain things. Of course, there are certain things which I won't classify them as British at all. I just think there are things in life like drinking alcohol. Let's use that example, right? As Muslims, you don't drink alcohol. Don't go near it. But we have colleagues, you have friends, people that drink alcohol. That's their choice in life. That this country provides that choice, right? Believe it or not, if you go to a Muslim country, they provide the same choice.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's not wrong. It's allowed. Islamically, if the non-Muslims in a Muslim country want to buy and sell alcohol, not to the Muslims, to themselves, they're allowed to do so and they're allowed to consume it. So that freedom of choice is not just a Western thing, or it's actually perfectly fine for us to have, or to see or to know that the non-Muslims are drinking alcohol and they're selling it and buying it. That's fine. That's something that Muslims have known about and experienced and lived amongst for generations, for hundreds of years, from the beginning of Islam. It's not even something recent or anything like that. It's actually the laws of Islam. You can read books on the laws of Islam from 1,000 years ago, and it says that Muslims, non-Muslims are allowed to sell alcohol and even, pork and stuff to non-Muslims in their society. It's from their religion, it's from their practices. It's fine. Go ahead and do it. And that's fine. So just an example, right? So now that is haram for us, completely not allowed for us, haram, and it's allowed for them and they want to do it, we just got to keep a boundary. And we say that that's haram, is wrong. Okay, another example, people in this society, have relationships outside of marriage and, date and get involved intimately, whatever, right? We know we can't do that as Muslims. So we have to, in these areas, there's no such thing as integration, right? Yes. It's completely, and it's not just Muslims, there's other people that hold these values, other religions, Jews, mashallah, and certain other religions, they have very, strict values, and good is, that's their choice, right? They're not hating on anybody for their choices, and we're not hating anybody for their choices, right? It's a choice in life. It's a moral choice, isn't it? Alcohol or no alcohol.
So we shouldn't need to compromise our values and our religious beliefs to fit in.
Nope. And you know what? I'm sure you can say this as well, Shams. You're talking about it to me. The more you show that, the more you get the respect.
Yeah.
I found that.
You found that, yeah,
yes.
exactly. And the more you could, you kind of hide away, think, oh, shall I have the alcohol or not? Or you don't show. The more you think, oh, tell us, you want to pray, go and pray. We don't. You're a Muslim, go and pray, right?
You're not talking about this. Simple things like this question comes up every year around this time, Christmas time.
Yeah.
So I think it's quite topical that actually we just mentioned this because Christmas next month.
Yeah.
A lot of us are going to get invited to work Christmas parties, etc., etc. And what I found is if you're straight with people and you say, look, there's nothing wrong with, let's go for a meal or something like that, but I'm not going to go to the pub.
Yeah.
Because that's part of my belief. People respect you for that. Genuinely, they respect you for standing up for values and your morals.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the time, we think we have to fit in and go around.
Yeah, I think religion is obviously for Muslims it's everything, but it's, generally speaking, it's a personal thing, isn't it?
Yes.
It's your choices, how you want to morally live your life, how you want to meditate, how you want to worship your Creator, whether you believe in your Creator or not, right? That's a choice, right? People have that. So those choices you make, you don't. I mean, I've never, pushed them on anybody else or any one of my friends or colleagues, and they've never pushed it on me.
No.
Right? So nobody's ever pushed Christmas on me, and I've not pushed Eid on anybody else.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Nobody's pushed a Diwali on me, and it's like we live in a Jewish community here. They have their Jewish festivals. I see them and they celebrate, and and they're pretty much like ours. I'll tell you something, right? I thought to myself, I realized something, right? On Eid, a lot of the young lads, they go and drive their cars and go beep 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 and all of that, right? And it upsets me because they're Muslims, right? Yeah. And one of the festivals here, there was a good group of Jewish lads doing the same.
That's right.
And I thought to myself, how can I look bad at these guys? If I'm going to say the Muslims are okay doing it on Eid, then these guys are okay doing it on Eid. And if I'm like, I don't like the Muslims doing it, then I'm like, these guys doing it.
Yeah.
They're the youth, they're not the Jews, right? They're just the youth of the Jewish community having a fun time in how they want to express it. That point we were talking about, maybe some people don't do it in the best of ways. And they were being a bit of a nuisance to me because the car was in front of mine and I was just like, get out of the way or stop parking in the middle of the road.
So my point is there that we can live with British values.
Yep.
We can, at the same time, practice our faith and integrate all at the same time.
All at the same time, yeah. That's right. We shouldn't feel like we have to compromise or I think the one thing that I would say is we just got to learn to be a bit more confident. And again, that confidence comes from practice, from knowledge, from maybe companionship of Muslims who can advise you and support you as well. But the more you learn, and you're an example yourself, you had the confidence to say something, you spoke out. Where did that come from?
Probably over a number of years.
Yeah.
I think when you actually realize that you yourself have value in this society.
Yeah. So that's really important. That I think we should take that as a big lesson. It's not instantly, is it?
No,
it's not. And that's the thing I want to say this for our viewers. If you're not done this and you've supposedly compromised, no, it's not. It's just you're at that stage where you didn't have the confidence. You didn't have strength. If I look back on my life, there was times where I probably didn't have the confidence when I was in the workplace and stuff to say things or do things, because it's a journey, isn't it? It's a development. It's a growth. But we've got to keep that in mind. Like you said, we have realized our values. And if I have a value, I don't want to compromise on it. That's what value is. It's not value if you just give it up every 2 seconds, right?
No.
So once you learn you've got true values as a Muslim and you want to adhere to them, you'll find a wise way to deal with the situation.
And appreciate that. You'll be shocked how they do.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time we don't, we will not say anything or do anything because we fear a certain reaction. And you will find that more often than not, you don't get that reaction.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's again come back to like owning your own identity. It's like, I think that's one thing our youth, probably a lesson for our youth, to know who you are. And nowadays, most of the work facilities, they do provide prayer space and etc. They give you the time to pray.
Yeah,
and
true.
you shouldn't be ashamed of it. Asking for it, that's your right as well.
I was saying earlier, religion is private, right? Yeah. But at the same time, I'm not saying it's to be forced on anyone. But as Muslims, we live our religion, right? We practice it. We're not shy to show it. Those of us who have got to that stage, let's say, and hopefully many of us will. So we don't throw it in people's faces.
No.
But when we need to practice our religion, go to the prayer room and ask for a prayer room at work and all of that, it's perfectly within our rights, law-wise and everything, not just for Muslims, for any religion, to ask for that facility and so on. So we shouldn't be shy to practice our faith as well.
No.
Although it's a private affair and we do our prayers, whatever, I'm going to Jummah. I'm going to celebrate Eid. I'm going to, go to Hajj. And you ask your work, right? I'm sure when you went to Hajj, you asked for leave.
Yeah.
And they were like, what, this much leave? We don't give that much leave normally, right? I'm sure that was the conversation, right? And then they were like, but this is part of my religion. It's once in a lifetime thing. We do the Hajj. And I need more than 2 weeks. I need like 3 at least, right? And kind of thing, So, and you got the leave, right?
Yeah.
And we Hajj together in 2019.
Yeah, we did.
I'll give an example, Ustad. Recently, I experienced this one. I went to a church.
Okay.
There was an event or something, probably Hastic. I went to church and it was Maghrib time. So I was thinking, well, I'm going to pray.
Maghrib time, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I said, well, I'm going to pray. Because I think that I didn't know that was close to mosque or anything. So I went to the church authority. I was like, okay, I need to pray. Where should I pray? And they're so welcoming. It's like, okay, it's a all prayer space. Just go anywhere. And they found me a space. I said, is that I'll make sure.
A quiet corner, yeah.
Yeah. I'll make sure no one comes and disturb you. So
wow.
They welcome you. It just needs to be open up.
Yeah, it needs to be done politely, exactly. And respectfully. Yeah.
Another incident this afternoon, I was in Oldham, and one of the community interest group I volunteer for. Normally I go every Monday. So and nowadays the prayer time is very short. So I asked.
Yeah.
And they provided the prayer space for me all the time. They don't say anything. So today I took my prayer mat with me to pray. And they saw me and they said, okay, Sam, next time remind me to pray, do not disturb here for you. So,
wow.
They're really welcoming.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
After I pray, I came out, they made sure they clean this area. So next time when I pray, there's no dirt in it.
Yeah, wow,
amazing.
That's so nice to hear. That it's amazing. So it shows you that's British society, right?
Yeah.
There you go, right?
Yeah.
Welcoming, loving, caring, respectful.
Exactly.
Making somebody feel at home.
I keep saying this. No matter what, I think we are very, very fortunate to live in this country.
Yeah,
genuinely.
Yeah,
you look at some parts around the world, even other Muslim countries. This country, I think, in my view, is more tolerant than most places in the world.
Alhamdulillah.
When you look at it, strip it back. I know there's all things going on in, and you might feel like you don't feel part of it. I'm saying now that this country is more tolerant than most.
Yeah.
So just talking about racism then, Islamophobia. Okay.
Yeah, it's Islamophobia Awareness Month, by the way, isn't it?
This month, yeah. So let's touch on that then, Sheikh. Talking about Islamophobia, so in this country, Islamophobia has gone up quite a lot, right? And that's backed up by evidence and numbers.
Yeah.
So when you encounter Islamophobia or somebody says to you things like, get out of this country, you don't belong here, go back to your own country, how should we respond to that?
So I think there's something I want to mention really important before we talk about the response is reporting. Muslims don't report. It's underreported. It's proven. It's shown, right? Statistics don't actually. Although the statistics are showing an increase, but I know why it's underreported, and you probably do as well. We're like, oh yeah, I'll leave it. We're kind of the Muslim community, as per their religion, are told to have patience, to be resilient, to kind of not let it get to you. So we kind of let you move on with life, but a bit lazy as well. We've got to fill in a form or give our details and all this stuff. But what that does is, and this is really important, right? Because I was in a meeting and there was a police officer explaining this to us. Because when you don't report, then the police don't know it's happened. That's so right. How do we know to send resources there? Right. When there's reports of 2, 3, 4 incidents, we're like, okay, there's something here. We look at these things, and the police officer said, I look at these reports, because he's a sergeant. He said, I look at the reports, and I see them coming in, and I'm like, okay, I need to put some officers on this area, I may need to go knock on a door, I may need to investigate this. Does it reach a threshold? He was explaining to us. If there's 0 reports, what do you expect of us? And then you complain about the police. You got to work with us, right, and support us. So I think that's the first thing I want to mention is please report any crime, any hatred incident, even if you don't think it's a big thing. If you've been said, get out of here, you're effing this, or, a P word or this, that, it should be reported. And the police will decide what to do.
What's a criminal offence?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It could be a criminal offence.
Could be a criminal offence. I know an individual who was attacked. He reported it. They managed to get DNA evidence, and the other person went down for several months.
Wow.
for a racially aggravated incident.
Yeah.
Because if he hadn't reported it and the police hadn't come, then it wouldn't have happened, right?
No.
So reporting
And he would have
helps.
gone on and done it to someone else.
Exactly. That's the other thing. And that other person could be somebody more vulnerable that's not going to be able to just brush it off and move on in life and cause more damage. So this is really important that we report that. But on the other side, obviously, when we hear this and we experience this, or we may have to, or I really, for me, if you'd ask me where is our strength and where are we going, I've got to say it's our future generations. Like you said earlier, we've done we're older, we're getting sort of towards the end of our time, etc. But the future generation are only going to do what we educate them, what we teach them, what we're able to impart to them. And what we need to impart to them, as I said earlier, is the prophetic character.
Yeah.
I think really there's a big detachment from Muslims, especially the younger generation, from the personality of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his character, his demeanor, his behavior, his interaction with others, the way he would speak, the way he was ragged by his neck. And, like, if I got you by the neck and ragged you, said, come here, talk to me, you probably smack me one. You probably wouldn't.
Is that the story of the Bedouin?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. None of us could remain patient or forbearant. Yet the Prophet didn't react to somebody, grabbing it. And the Sahaba wanted to react.
Left a mark on his neck.
Yeah, left a mark on his neck, like pulled the collar, right?
Yeah.
And the Sahaba wanted to react, but look at his forbearance and patience. And, this is something we've got to learn from the Prophet ﷺ. I'm not saying take abuse or just get beaten up, but look, there's a time and place to do a certain response. If force is required, then, by all means, protect yourself and look after each other. But sometimes a lot of it's verbal, a lot of it's, in words and maybe online and stuff like that. And I've got to, honestly, if we haven't got the ability to respond positively or, we're going to be affected negatively and it's going to get, then just don't expose yourself to this. Get away from it. Just don't open the apps and look at this. If you want to engage, learn how to engage, and that's by the building yourself around the prophetic character. And as the prophetic character, we've got loads of Sahaba, so we don't know the lives of the Sahaba. When I say prophetic life and character, I'm talking about the whole society at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, how the women were, how the men were, how the youth were. It's important how the youngsters were, the youth were, and what they were doing and how they were, the society was interacting, because that's Islam. That's what our identity is. It doesn't matter where you're from, that's Islam, right? Or what kind of Muslim you are, from which part of the world, right? Yeah. Our Islam is what the Prophet and the Sahaba, they established, and each generation took from them. And obviously, it went around the world. And, I'm honored to be a Muslim, and I'm sure every Muslim feels that way. So if you're honored to have that tradition, then practice it, learn it, understand it. And it goes back to these people, right?
Yeah, I think that's a very important point about that, because I think what I've seen as a Muslim, we have become so reactionary.
Yeah.
We are very quick to judge, very quick to respond, and very quick to get offended, rather than...
And we shut other people down, we don't let them talk. We don't want to talk properly or calmly, It's really,
exactly. And that's all comes to going back to your fitra. If you don't go back to your fitra, going back...
To your what, sorry?
Fitra, the fitra we have within...
What's the fitra? Explain to our viewers.
It's your natural instinct when you're born as a Muslim.
As a human being, you have a good instinct, right? A human, a good behavior that we all have inside of us.
Exactly.
But what happens is, our own emotions or just habits we pick up take over, don't they? Are you right? 100% right. We need to get over that.
I think what we need to teach our youth, whenever incident takes place or anything happens, if they want to reply or they want to respond with wisdom. I think that's one thing we're missing. I have seen in political climate, political atmosphere, other atmosphere, when they go in arguments, they don't think with wisdom.
Wisdom,
that word has, because like you said the other day, tongue is very sharp weapon, and it's like we all know, a punch is less. You're not gonna hurt that much. That much.
I'll be honest with you. If somebody hit you physically, you could get over and be best friends forever after that.
Yeah.
But if somebody has abused you or said something you bad with the tongue, it can be overcome, but it's very hard.
Very hard.
Like it might take a lifetime to get over some words that you said. That's how dangerous this is, right?
You can't take them back.
Yeah,
once you left your mouth.
Yeah. That impact of that, the impact of the punch, whatever, it'll go away and whatever. People fight and become best friends, right?
Yeah.
But you know what? You're right. The words we say are so powerful, can be so powerful, so harmful, so good, so beneficial, that we really need to think a lot before we speak.
It's one of my favorite sayings, and it's an English saying.
Yeah.
It's quite funny as well. And I think it's true. They say it's better to keep your mouth closed
Yeah.
and let people think you're a fool than to open it and remove all doubt.
I like that one.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and quite often, I think, how true is that? Because
Yeah.
sometimes you might blurt something out, say something, and you're thinking, I shouldn't have said that.
Mm.
So it's very, very, it's good just to keep quiet as much as you can. If you don't need to say anything, let people think, oh, this guy's quiet, he doesn't say anything. That's better than saying something which you regret for the rest of your life.
Yeah, true.
So-
Very true.
And these are the characteristics our Sahaba had, right? They were limited in their words.
Yeah, it's actually true. The hadith says that the Prophet had but longer periods of silence than speaking.
Yes.
He wasn't always speaking or talking. He was calm, quiet person. And then when the need arose to speak, when there was a wisdom, there was a lesson, there was some benefit, go ahead and speak, right? That's the thing, that when you've got something to share and be of
Then you
benefit, then you should speak. But if you haven't, you want to have a word. I think that's the culture today, isn't it? To get your word in as well and to
Yeah.
do your part and stuff. Yeah.
So, I mean, I think we're probably moving towards the latter part, the end part of the
Yeah.
the podcast. So, shall we talk about sort of hope and the future then?
Let's end on a positive. Yeah, I think looking forward, where
what gives you hope about the Muslim youth in Britain then, and the future the future that is in store for them?
Yeah, I said, my hope is the youth, and because the Prophet ﷺ said that, he said, the shabab, the youth are the ones that supported me. The youth are the ones that took, because they were all younger than the Prophet ﷺ. I mean, very few companions, Muslims were all in the Prophet ﷺ. He was the earliest, Allah made it that way. So, and he said, "Istawsu bi-shababi khayra," take good and encourage good amongst the youth, right? So this is really important as Muslims look towards our youth. So that's where I think the hope is, the benefit is, the future is. And as long as we can, keep the identity within them, and the identity that we have is like, we're British and we're Muslim, and just celebrate that. Don't make them feel like their identity as Muslim is a burden. Because often we do, don't we? You go to this, you got to pray, you got to fast. And then they're like, oh, this is enjoyable. This one's nice, being, just a normal person in society. And then when I get home, I've got to do all these chores and burden, this, that. So, show them the beauty of Islam, show them generosity, kindness. We often just look at the rituals and don't look at the sort of characteristics and spirituality of Islam, right? Honestly, I'll give you a tip or just advice. Just sit down with your children and just say, look, we're going to do something spiritual today. And just do astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah for 5 minutes, 2 minutes. Just do that. It's a whole new world for them. You might not think much of it, but they've never experienced that. They've never done that. And for them, I mean, I know when I did things new, like I attended gatherings or went to a certain class, it's like, wow, these are amazing things, right? You think going to Islamic classes is so uplifting, and being in this environment, going to a gathering where the Quran is recited and there's praise of the Prophet ﷺ. So children they don't get many opportunities for that, because the daily thing is prayer, Quran, and that kind of stuff, right? So I think we as parents need to just give them a little bit more relaxed practice of Islam, fun practice of Islam, so that they attach their faith in a positive way. Then once we have that, they themselves, because it's all a personal thing at the end of the day, will want to be better Muslims, want to learn Islam. I do think all Muslims really love Islam deep down. It's just they've not had the opportunity to learn it, or nobody's really grabbed their hand and took them somewhere, or given them a direction. But once they do connect, and I've seen many people connect, alhamdulillah, that's the kind of work I do more or less day in, day out. It's my own experience. It's just a whole new world of blessings, sense of belonging and meaning that open up. And it doesn't contradict living in the UK and being British at all. No, it's absolutely perfectly fine. Look, we've established so many mosques here in this country. They've given us so many rights, and we've got so much, freedoms that you're saying. It's a beautiful place. Other countries, they haven't been able to build mosques.
No.
They've been able to do, halal food is an issue elsewhere, right? We've got halal food, we've got mosque opening more and more, and there's nothing stopping that, alhamdulillah. There are efforts to stop it, but, the law doesn't stop it. It's just as long as you fulfill the criteria and you get the permission, khalas, right? So
these are things I was saying, for example, look at the police force here. We can pray at work. They've built special wudu facilities in the police stations.
Wow.
Those wudu mates.
Yeah, they've got them in the toilets now.
Yeah, we've got all this. And I was talking to a French police officer, and he was saying in our country it's illegal to pray at work.
Wow.
It's actually illegal.
I didn't know that. I knew there was limits on expressing your faith in
So
public.
if you're at work,
But
You're
that
not
is
allowed to pray.
crazy. Yeah, that is shocking. That
So when I
and
say
that would be, we had the question earlier about integrating or fitting.
Yeah.
That would be hugely problematic for a Muslim,
Massively.
right? If you're working in a sort of public office role or civil service
What
role,
would you
and what would you do? Wow, that is hard. Well, and we have the freedom here, the blessing of not only being allowed to pray, but
They
here
you
you
the
go.
facilities.
There you go. Facility.
Wudu,
Yeah.
bathroom, and
So-
it's not just for Muslims; it's for the whole religious
So
They even
practitioners.
ask, sorry.
I was just saying, so when people talk about Britain being a bad place to live,
Yeah, no,
and I'll
no.
say, okay, you need to go to somewhere else in the world then and see what it's like there.
Subhanallah.
I've got a question for you guys, I think, because we're only on a positive. So let's try and move towards that. There's a lot of stereotypes and, thoughts against Muslims. What's one that you'd want to remove and how? What's something that you think is said about Muslims, which is wrong, which is a stereotype, but we'd want to get rid of it and get it out of people's minds.
That we don't want to integrate.
Brilliant one. Yeah,
That
yeah.
we want Muslims to stay in one place
Yeah.
Yeah.
and everyone else to be there.
Subhanallah.
None.
You hit the nail on the head with that one. I think you're right. I think I was thinking of other things because that's more maybe limited to certain demographics, but that's a universal one there.
Universal one.
Yeah, brilliant.
That
Yeah.
Muslims just want to keep
Just
themselves to
wanna- yeah.
themselves, don't want to mix with anybody else. We do. We love mixing with people.
Yeah.
So I think that's
The one I was thinking was Muslims hate other religions or Muslims hate on people or there's a sort of some kind of hatred that's intrinsic in Muslims, which is absolutely none.
No.
The opposite, we love people in
love
general.
people.
Yeah, we're full of love and kindness and welcome and so on. It's like, no, come on, mate. It's just life.
that'd be my main one.
Yeah, but no, I like that one better. That that we are sort of we don't want to integrate. We don't want to. No, we want to have a
Wanna
cup
mix
of
with
tea.
people.
Come and have some biscuits. Bismillah, halal biscuits.
Come and have some biryani and
Biryani, yeah, make it different, right? But yeah, no, you're right. I think in that idea that maybe a lot of people have stereotype type that we don't want to get involved in
simple,
stuff.
simple.
Yeah.
I found sometimes I'll make something or my wife will make something and I'll take some of it into work for my staff.
MashaAllah.
And you might not think that, but it's I think that's like part of integration.
Absolutely.
You're giving them a taste of your food and you're showing good character by giving food to people. So even little things that you might not even think, they do have an impact.
Yeah,
No,
MashaAllah.
absolutely. And yeah, that's right. I think that's one thing. I think media is the cause for it. I'll be very honest with you. And also kind of part of our fault as well, that we don't show it.
Yeah.
We kind of, sometimes we laid back.
I think you're
we
right.
can be
I'm-
more
I'm-
engaging
yeah.
to the society, more going to different community group actively rather than waiting for them to approach to us.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I have a presentation to do about Islamic phobia awareness month in November, that it is. And the conversation was, we often talk of it negatively, the negative experiences, but we really start talking on a positive level. Why I'm here is to say that, look, it's almost as though Muslims are some kind of an issue or something, like we're taking away from society. And the reality is we're giving, we're contributing, we're just a normal part of society. There's plenty of Muslim doctors, teachers, counselors in many places, right? And like you said earlier, entrepreneurs, businesses, academia, university lecturers, so on. I know someone locally, he's retired now actually, but university lecturer and many other fields, right? And we're just there contributing to society. So the point was that, look, when you do your presentation this time, don't just talk about the negatives or this, that, like talk about the positives, talk about people who are, maybe famous, like Muhammad Salah, the footballer, or, we had Yvonne Ridley and her experience in Afghanistan, she's the a journalist and so on. So mention these people, they're part of society. The people love them, not just Muslims love them. They probably love more bad, not some of them like Muhammad Salah probably love more bad non-Muslims than Muslims, who knows, right? And so on, right? So this is a good way of presenting that Muslim contribution within the UK dynamic in particular, but of course worldwide. So I think it's important that we show that, like you said earlier, we're there, we're just part of society, I mean, I mentioned many of the people are more Farah and, other, people from maybe abroad and stuff like that, but there's so many that, they have done a lot, have contributed, and we need to be vocal about it and speak about it. Like you said, we need to make sure that it's heard, because we don't do that enough. Yeah.
No. Yes,
No,
no,
alhamdulillah.
that's right. So that brings to the last question, Ustad. What would one message be if you want to give one message to Britain about Muslims? What would
That's the one message I'd give to Britain about Muslims, or to the British Muslim community or non-Muslim community, is we live in the 21st century. Things have changed. There were prejudices, there were a way of thinking, there was territorial stuff. Even in the whole world was like this. Europe was like this. Africa was like this. You went over the boundary and you could get killed. That's how hostile the whole world was, right? Asia was like this, but we live in a civilized society. We've grown. That's human nature. That's human development, evolution, whatever, and so on. So we've got to learn to just get along with each other. We've got to learn to share our experiences, talk about things. If you want to know something, come and ask, discover. We should be speaking about ourselves confidently. So the thing is, just maybe summarize it in one word: better communication. I think the more we communicate who we are, communicate about our own problems and issues, and other people talk about us about theirs, and we get involved in conversations and talk and communicate, then this will help everyone understand better who Muslims are. Muslims are from all different backgrounds, races and colors, by the way. Maybe didn't make that clear. There's white, black, yellow, green, orange, blue, every single color you could imagine, and every single ethnicity you could imagine. Muslims, it's not particular to anybody or anyone. It's a religion that anybody can take on board and follow. And we celebrate every single person, right? Every single, Muslim around the world is our member of faith, brother and sister in faith. So that's something that I'd say that, is something that I want to actually leave with, that we the Muslim sort of unity is something we need to really shout about and talk about, that we really do look after each other, care about each other. We pray for each other every day. You do your du'as, we do our du'as, right? We do our prayers. We pray for Muslims all around the world every single day, without fail. Of course, specifically for Palestine, for Sudan more often, but for everybody that knows, somebody asks us, whoever they are, pray for me, we pray for them. So we really care about others. So I really think that we need to communicate better, that there's we need to get along with each other. The world is a world of, being civilized, being amicable, working together, and just get rid of this negativity. The way that people are, that they stand off, that there's some kind of problem with somebody. Like, I don't want to walk down the street, on edge. I don't want my children, my family, and other people in the community to be worried about me, worried about them. And we're not. Alhamdulillah, I can say that in our communities, it's going pretty well. We're communicating. They know us. They see my clothes. I see their clothes. We get along, alhamdulillah. But we need to work more on that, to spread that message, to communication. What about yourselves? What would you mention as a final word for our viewers before we sign off today? And thank you, everyone. I don't know how much people contributed on the comments, and we did get a couple of questions through, but it's an important topic, and I think that it was suggested by somebody. So I think if you have any other suggestions, please send them in. Please communicate with us. But mashallah, over to you, Shams.
I think my one message would be, before reacting to anything or before getting angry on anything, think of 100 reasons to excuse that person. Because when you learn to give benefit of the doubt, things become much simpler, much easier, and you can build the bond with a different group, different ethnicity, different community. And probably that's one thing I would like to get our youth to practice on, and I need to practice myself as well.
MashaAllah. Jazakallah. Basharat, your final words?
I would say, I think we need to be more like the people that we want other people to be. So we want other people to be patient and tolerant with us. Then we need to be patient and tolerant with them as well.
Absolutely.
So what we want from other people.
Yeah, I get your point. It's a powerful point as well, mashallah.
Mashallah.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Thank you to everyone for viewing in. Thank you to our studio in the background, looking after all the equipment. We hope to see you on future podcasts. Take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.